Managing Brands, Level 6, Assignment, July 2020. Managing Brands. Now, as a marketer, one of the most exciting journeys you're going to embark on is being part of a great brand or building a brand. It's going to be an unbelievable experience. It's like nurturing a baby. Some of you will be lucky to be part of an early stage of a branding process. Some of you might end up working for great brands and you're going to learn so much. There's no doubt a brand will be your most valuable asset next to your reputation. So let's talk about this whole subject and starting off, understand how the assignment works. So as always, there are 3 areas in the assignment and you could go step by step. And the starting point is to figure out what company are you going to apply all your learning into. So at the masterclass at Dafedil, you get your knowledge and there onwards you will apply it to a company of your choice. Now the selection of this company is important so that you get the knowledge plus the practical application. All the research you do about this company is going to be converted to a 2-page company background, and that guidance is already in your Google Classroom. So that's step 1. Step 2, as you always know, as you already know, is about selecting the right team. It's like as a CEO, you're trying to select the direction for your organization. So there are 4 options and you could select one, whatever that you could justify to be relevant for your company. So these themes for stage 2 or level 6 is based on ANSOF metrics, the growth metrics. What's the theme? Is it market penetration, market development, etc.? So we've done some work in the class to do a team audit so you have a meaningful justification for your selection. This justification will also be included in your 2-page company background. There onwards, you got to start the game. So most of you who are now familiar with the discussion on brand would appreciate some of the great work done by some authors over decades. So Keller sets a good foundation for branding, and it's going to make a lot of sense if you align yourself to the right authors, and you'll learn so much. And remember to go to the exact sources of knowledge. Keller is one of them, and I'm a big fan of Kotler, as some of you already know. So Kotler and Keller on marketing management is like your ultimate book. You don't need too many books. You need the right ones to set your knowledge. And then, of course, you can refer whatever is relevant from the World Wide Web, the internet. So Keller, as well as Kellogg on branding, there are some great books that you could pick. By the way, that book is available on your e-portal in the Google Classroom. So let's move. Here you go. It's a report, your task 1. And most of you know now the Google Classroom has all the support. And if you go to Classworks, and then you'll find assignment guide. This is directly from CIM, so you've got to read this carefully. All what you need to know is here, so please spend a good hour on this document. Especially areas like professionalism in your work, plagiarism, collusion, the shortcuts sometimes students take, lecturers take. You got to avoid those because you don't need that. This is a very simplified process. So good, genuine work is what is required for you to be a proper marketer. So there you go. All what the heading should look like, the margins, the font sizes, etc. So most of you are very familiar with how to write a report. But just to get a little heads up, some thoughts on what a report should include. But the truth is we will rarely or never use executive summaries at this level because we are doing a professional qualification. So, but good to have a guidance, right? So keep this in your mind. Back to your assignment. The next important thing is to understand what we call command words such as evaluate, appraise. These are critical. Now, the command word guide again is in your Google Classroom, have a look. You're in level 6, so please go to the level 6 and say, for example, a praise is very different to analyze, as you could see. So spend good time to understand this and you'll be good. Alright, now that you got it, let's get to the task 1B and 1C. Evaluate how your chosen brand's brand position. Now when it's a brand position, if you're on Kotler and Keller, brand position, chapter 10, don't take shortcuts. There's enough time. Go through these concepts well because you'll need it someday in the real world. If you learn these subjects from a typical lecturer, you will not get this insight. You got to understand brand building is a tough job. It's an exciting job. If you don't have the right tools, you will have big failures in real life. So that hour or two spending, learning, getting this into a system is of absolute value. And evaluating a brand position is not easy without the right tools. So do this properly. And then after you evaluate, which means you look at the positives, the challenges of the current position. Let's say the good old example of Volvo being positioned as a safe car versus a Mercedes being positioned as a prestige car. But then in prestige space there are a lot of cars, and then there's a luxury positioning which Lexus was trying to get, and I once upon a time bought one of those Lexuses. My personal belief is Lexus has lost its place over years. A lot of cars have become safe, but Volvo continues to stay in that position. So this requires a meaningful analysis to show where the current position is. Thereonwards, you look at the attributes of a brand. Now that again you will require to get a right tool or two to evaluate your brand attributes. So these tools come from models by Keller, models by Interbrand, equity models. Example attributes like brand awareness versus brand loyalty are very different. So many attributes of a brand personality to brand positioning. So there are aspects of brands that needs to be looked at, and how those attributes and your positioning, personalization to the key customer segment. So how does the attributes and personalization to the key customer segment could utilize digital techniques to improve the customer journey and effective touch points. So let's take a minute on the last part. Digital techniques to improve customer journey and touch points. Now, if you've been in our digital discussions in the master class, you are very familiar with this. So today, the game is about customer experience. Most products tend to be very similar. A car is a car sometimes. Of course, it's positioned as a luxury car or a prestige car. But the customer experience, from the point you call that company, meet that company, go to their website, resolve problems, complaint resolution, that whole process is what we call a customer journey. And every customer journey has touch points, physical touch points, digital touch points. So creating a customer experience across this journey is important as a marketer. Now that's what this is talking about, and how your brand attributes and personalization could be utilized in this space. So how brands personalize through their web pages, through their social media interactions, through their blog content, the digital techniques are what you're going to look at different touch points of the journey. Of course, in this situation, you will look at what your company does as well as some benchmarks to make your case. So once again, let's understand. Evaluate how your chosen organization's brand position, safe car, cheap car, attributes of the brand values, brand personality, and personalization of those attributes to the key customer segment. And you by now have already justified your customer segment. Let's say senior executives in private sector companies who are busy with work, family, and has a active lifestyle. It's your segment. Could use digital techniques, which includes the types of tools and techniques we spoke about, to improve the customer journey and build effective touch points. So a web without a blog for that segment might not be very effective. So likewise, you will look at some of those specific digital touch point options and see how each one of them could, not should, could. So it's not a deep recommendation, could help improve this overall journey. So when we get into our smart pack, we'll discuss specific flow that you could consider, but this sets you up overall. So when you're looking for concepts on digital techniques and customer journey, your Google Classroom will direct you to the right books and the right reading, and that's going to help you to connect the brand and the digital part together. 15 marks, it's a lot of work. Let's start now. Task C. Appraise the role of the elements. Remember, appraise, evaluate, appraise. Role of the elements that combine to form the brand strategy. So the elements and roles of a brand could include again from the models that you're looking at. Let's say you're looking at Keller's resonance model or an interbrand brand onion or an equity model. Will give you different components. Think of it like a car with the engine, the steering wheel, the wheels, the interior. There are different components that goes into a car. Likewise, that goes into a brand strategy. We are not looking at a brand plan. We are looking at components of a strategy. So you will have to look at things like brand values, brand positioning, and its ability to meet the objective. Now your objective comes from your theme. So some of you are looking at a market penetration objective. Some are looking at a market development objective. So how does some of the components of your brand helps in that objective? I hope you're getting this. So example, how does your current brand personality helps you to get into new markets or market development? And as some of you are aware of this concept of personality, again, remember to spend time, read through the right books. You've seen this, Philip Kotler, Kevin Keller on branding. It's very important to invest in a couple of key books, and I've already recommended the key books for you. It has to be in your library, the right books, and they're for life. Keep that in mind. And you can pick those books at Dafedil. Now that's a sales pitch. Now going back to the point, sometimes your current brand personality might not help in getting into new markets or on certain new products that you have launched. So that's what this discussion is all about. So do your framework, in other words, the wireframe for this task, set the right headings, and you could start writing. After all, it's a report. It's not very complex. So once again, let's summarize. Number one, select the right company that you are passionate about, that you can get information on. Do your 2-page company background. Clearly spend time understanding on the themes. We call it a theme audit at Dafedil. And then justify that theme specifically. We've done a lot of work to support you. When you go through the Google Classroom, you'll get all that information. Thirdly, have access to the right books and do spend time reading on branding. And of course, don't miss the masterclass, because we will get into reality of branding, not just the theory of branding. There onwards, spend time to understand the format, which is a report, and the command words that are at play. There onwards, I've already given you the thoughts on how you could get about laying out that assignment. And when you do this right, you're already at 30 marks. So most of you already done the company background. Your first 5 marks are already in. Now you're playing for your 25 marks. So when you're looking at this assessment criteria, which is your syllabus area, that again is available for you. in your Google Classroom so you could know to ensure that these areas are addressed when you're attempting this task. So there you go. That's the assignment. But remember, you as a brand is what is going to make your CV disappear. And you, when you understand how to build brands for large companies, small companies, and I've seen them all, and I'm involved in that, and I tell you, everything you learn will come handy. So, all the best with your brand planning.